Welcome back to the Rom-Com Love podcast. I'm Brennan,
And I'm Catherine.
and we are thrilled to have the writer of some of our favorite Hallmark movies joining us, Julie Sherman Wolfe. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining us. We're delighted. Well, we love a great backstory, and rumor has it to Barcelona with Love and to Barcelona Forever, origins began in a New York City bar. Tell us
They
about that
did.
chat.
They did. So we were at the after party of the premiere of Holiday Spectacular, which was the Rockettes movie from 3 years ago, which I wrote. But it was also Hallmark's big launch for Christmas. So all the Hallmark people, all the big wigs and all the big actors were there. And it was getting late, and all the high heels were off, and we were just hanging out. And I was just talking to Ashley, and she said, "Okay, I know it's really late, and I don't know if this is a good idea, but I think it's a good idea right now. Maybe I'm just going to tell it to you, and then maybe like see if you still think it's good tomorrow morning." And she pitched me what became the story for the first Barcelona movie. And the funny part is that it was sort of natural and meant to be, because it we knew it had to be a translator and it had to be a foreign country, but we didn't know which one. And Allie Sweeney just was walking by, and she said, "Hey, Allie, do you speak a foreign language?" And Allie said, "Yes, Spanish." And she's like, "Great. It's Barcelona. We're going to shoot in Barcelona." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to see Barcelona." And
Oh,
that's literally what happened. And then we kind of figured out a pitch from there, and we all did a Zoom together with the network. And then, uh been about 2.5 years or so, maybe three, since that happened. So
mm,
um it took a while because we're all busy.
Mhm.
Those ladies are very, very busy and talented. And I had a lot of stuff to write with the Chiefs movie and Hanukkah stuff and all that. So we finally got it done in February.
wow.
So it did not start as two movies then. So then
No.
what challenges or unexpected blessings came from the fact that you got to do two movies out of this story?
Yeah, that was actually not expected at all. I've never done even a sequel out of all the movies. I think I'm on 28 or something like that, and I've never had a sequel.
Mm,
So they said, "Okay, well, we want to make it two." And I go, "Okay, great. I don't know what the story is for the second one yet." So I thought of one, just I kind of did some more research, and I wanted it to be, the first movie is more in the city of Barcelona, and the second one is kind of more on the countryside of Spain. So I just wanted to see, okay, well, what do they do in the country? What are they
Mhm.
farming? What's going on? So I'm like, what I've never seen a movie about is, it's so niche, but it's about, there's saffron involved, and you never really even, but that's a big thing for Spain, especially in that region. It's a big deal. So I thought, I'm like, well, I'm going to do a deep dive into this and try and make
yeah.
saffron interesting. I think maybe we have made it. I think yes, it's very valuable, the saffron. The saffron,
Mm,
like, it's worth more than gold
Oh,
ounce for
wow.
ounce. Yeah, so
wow.
there's a whole subculture about that I got to learn about. And obviously the story is more about these relationships and friendships and romance, but this is a backdrop we have definitely not seen yet for
Mm,
Hallmark. So that's been fun.
yes. And it's so fun that not only is it one, but we're going to get two right away. Because so many
Yes.
times we watch a Hallmark movie, there's so many where we wish, oh, it'd be great if there was a sequel. So to have two back to back right away, that's just such a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. There's definitely movies I would still do a sequel for if I could.
Mhm.
Um, One that comes to mind was Wedding Every Weekend, was one I wish we
Mm.
could do a sequel, or One Royal Holiday, I wish we could do a sequel. Like, there's just a bunch of
Mhm.
them, because you always want to know. My favorite thing at the end of a movie is the 1 year later, where are they
Mm.
now? I love
Yeah.
that. I love a post credit, where are they now? Always.
Mhm.
So I always want to do them. It's hard because there's so many people involved. There's so many moving parts. It's really hard to get an original cast back. Like they have with the groomsmen and all, and the three men and a baby and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
generally it's not an easy thing to do. So this is great that I basically wrote them one after the other. Um,
Mm.
I had to sort of not write myself into a corner with the first story so that I wasn't in big trouble for the second one. But I think I think it worked out.
did get to travel to Barcelona. So because you hadn't traveled to Barcelona until you were filming, what did you use as your inspiration and your muse to get the vibe and the culture and which
Yeah,
art
that
track
was,
you wanted to handle?
so I got a lot of I actually like real things I can hold. So I got a couple of guidebooks for locals. Um, and I watched a ton of just random TikToks of just people like on vacation or not on vacation, people who live there. I was just sort of immersing myself in the culture as much as I possibly could. Um, and it's ironic because Ashley's character, one of the things that she's accused of as a writer is trying to write a book about Barcelona, and she had never been there. And so it was considered sort of that's Allie's character had to help it along a little bit because Ashley didn't get it right when she wrote this novel that was set in Barcelona. So that's part of the reason Allie's character maybe did a little extra work on the translation that she normally had never done. And that was the whole thing, is that people, in the reviews, well, it seemed like she's never been there. How can you write about it if you've never been there? Well, you could say the same for me. Like, how can I write about Barcelona if I've never been there? So I really wanted to make sure I got as much research as I could, and I talked to people, and um, I feel like once I got there, I felt like I'd already been there because I had done so much of a deep dive. I don't, if I got anything wrong, they already told me or fixed it before I showed up, or we would fix it in the script. And a lot of what I got wrong was sort of the Spanish of it and the colloquialisms and the way that they really talk, and not just sort of the Google Translate version of the way they talk. But I knew I wasn't going to get that right. But I definitely, um, I knew about the vermouth culture, and some people actually who hadn't been to Barcelona in like 20 years are like, "What are you talking about? What is this whole vermouth thing?" And that's a real thing right now. Is there's this whole vermouth trend in Barcelona. It's not just tapas and sangria. So we tried to
I
put
was gonna
that
say,
in.
no idea. Is it food?
It's a alcohol. It's a drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
nice.
it's a whole thing. They have whole bars for it. It's a thing that's happening. So I tried to put that in.
Wow.
So I look super cool that I knew what that was. And it was in my book. It was in my guidebook. And I tried to, that the hard part was figuring out which neighborhood okay, which neighborhood of Barcelona is this bookstore going to be in? And does it make sense for her to walk to this neighborhood, or does it make sense for her to be at this market? That was the hardest part. Was I had a giant map, and I would just stare at it and try and circle things and just try and figure out where it would be. And what's weird and awesome is that the bookstore that I found in my book and I found on the map is literally, and that I based it on, is literally the bookstore they ended up shooting at.
Oh, wow.
Because that was exactly the right thing. It had a little patio in the back. It was in the right neighborhood. It was close to everything. And then that's actually where it ended up being, which I couldn't believe. I've never had that happen.
Julie, was this your first time working with Ashley and Allison? And what
Yes.
excited you the most about writing for these two of our favorite Hallmark ladies?
Well, the reason Ashley and I the whole conversation was like, we have to find something to do together, which that happens a lot when I go to these things. And it happened again last week. And so I'm going to be trying to pitch something with a couple other ladies who I haven't really worked with yet. A couple I have, a couple I haven't. And it was sort of that. And then I was a fan of Allie's, back in the day from Days of Our Lives. So I'm trying not to seem like I'm, a dork. And because I'm like, that's Sammy Brady. Oh my God. That's how when I first ever saw her at a party, that was kind of my reaction. But we're like the same, we're the same age and everything. So it was just funny. And then they're both so good at it, and they're so good at what they do, and they're different actors, and they both bring different energies, but they're such a great balance between the way that they both are together, that you totally buy that they would become friends and develop a friendship. And that's why I think this movie almost is like a friendship movie with a romance, um, which is kind of how we always talked about it being. And you can see it. It's true. You can really see that there's a real friendship there between them. And if you see all the press they've been doing and before this movie, that's a legitimate, true love that they have for each other. And I feel very lucky because you can't fake that.
Right, right, right.
I mean, I guess you can if you're a good actor, but like you can really tell it's real. I guess, I mean,
That's so true. Oh,
Yeah,
so
I know.
true.
I mean, and I think, well, I will say that for Ashley, I had the opportunity to meet her at ALZ Dance-a-thon last, or the dance for ending ALZ last year. And it was like literally 2 seconds. And it was literally in those 2 seconds, I'm like, I want to be your spirit animal
Mhm.
because number
Yeah.
one, I want your energy. And
It's
then
so much
two,
energy. It's amazing.
and it's just you could tell she doesn't meet a stranger, which
No.
is just which is such an amazing quality. I feel like,
Yeah.
like, and you're just like, okay, I will just really wanted to say hi really quick. And she's like, well, tell me why you're here. Like, what is it
Yeah.
that, brought you? And that's, those are huge gifts that I'm just so
Yeah.
appreciative of, for
She's so
especially.
joyful and
Yeah.
just so much energy. And Allie is this calm, wise, um, also really funny, by the way, which she doesn't always get to
Mhm.
do. So we get to see some of that, some of the comedy, which I love to be able that we could get to see that. And we get to see some of the more serious side of Ashley. So we get to really have a good time with them, maybe
Mhm.
doing some stuff that they haven't been able to do in all their movies.
Mm.
So where do you like to write more towards, the rom or the com?
Well, the
Mm.
calm, because
Okay.
that's kind of where I started out. So,
Mm.
um, and I actually think comedy's harder than drama to write, and it's hard to do
Mm.
well. And I
Mm.
enjoy, and that just became the thing that I was known for. There was sort of the bantery comedy, which I don't, I'm not gonna mess with it. I
Mhm.
like, my goal is to have people really laugh, but also make everyone cry at least once in a movie. Um, I feel like Holiday Touchdown was probably the best example of that because Ed Begley Jr. made everybody cry a bunch of times in the movie because he was brilliant. So,
Mhm.
but it's hard. In the last few years, we've been more encouraged to find even more comedy than before, which has been great because I started out doing sitcoms and all that kind of stuff. So that was my first few jobs was all in sitcoms.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
What sitcoms? Out of
Well,
curiosity.
um, well, I was a writer's assistant on Everybody Loves Raymond the first two seasons, but then
Awesome.
I got a writing job my first writing job that was real was a show on Lifetime called Oh Baby that I'm sure nobody remembers. And then I ended up on Third Rock from the Sun, which everybody does
Mm.
remember.
Mhm.
And then some Disney Channel. So there's a certain age group when I tell them I wrote for Phil of the Future, they get really, really excited.
There
Oh,
you go.
Julie, that was a fave.
I
Still
love
love
that
that
show.
show.
That's my favorite, one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and I'm still very close friends with everybody there. I
Oh,
loved that job. That was so fun.
oh.
And then I did a couple of the Jonas Brothers show episodes. They were
Yes,
there, like just
Jonas.
around that time,
Yes, Julie.
And then so my first TV movie was Avalon High for Disney Channel, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
that was my very first like MOW. And
Mhm.
then we had that strike, and I said, okay, I really like writing rom-coms, and I'm just gonna take this time and write a couple of movie rom-com screenplays
Mm.
where just for fun. And I ended up selling those, and those kind of got me in the door to I did a Lifetime rom-com, and then that finally got me into Hallmark, but it took a while. So I was working
Mm.
for, more than, I would say 12 years or more, probably more than that, before I even showed up at Hallmark.
Oh,
Mm.
So
wow.
Hallmark's been wonderful, and it's the most steady work I've had because it's very
Mhm.
usually not like that. But this has been just a blessing to be able to do for as long as I have.
Mm.
Hopefully for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
so neat that you had that experience to write for all those shows that are so beloved and on such beloved networks. And I bet it was fun writing for, sitcoms, sitcom-y, and then now being able to do movies. That's so
It's
neat.
fun. I mean, the sitcom
Yeah.
life is very hard. And once I had a kid, I was just getting older, and I really didn't have it in me to stay up till 3 in the morning in a writer's room anymore, which is sort of the lifestyle of that. And I was just
Mm.
sort of done. So this all kind of is sort of a natural transition. But it's really fun. And you're basically doing stand up all day long, and you're basically on.
Mm.
So it's exhausting because you have to be on like this all day and pitching jokes. And it's just,
Mhm.
but what it did give me is the speed because you have to do all these rewrites in sitcoms like every night. Um, I am able to do rewrites for these movies pretty, faster than usual, and I can kind of condense, I can kind of figure out what the notes are and sort of weed through everything and figure out what it is we really need to do. That's what sitcom work gave me, and it helped me with Hallmark. Wait, what is happening right here?
I got a little.
God, what the heck? I'm having like an allergic reaction or something.
Oh, go. You want
Oh
to
my
go?
God, look at this. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll just say like on the like this. We can keep this, by the way, we can keep this on the record. You got to keep this on the recording. Like this is real. Like I don't know what is happening right now, but this could be my last interview. Goodbye.
Oh, Julie.
Goodbye, everybody.
It's
I love you all.
It's okay, girl. I have very sensitive skin myself,
The
so I
redhead thing,
understand
nothing,
rashes
like,
and redness.
oh my God. I swear to
It's
God.
okay.
I
Holy
mean,
moly.
with
I'm
the
just gonna sit like
comedy
this.
world, I was gonna pitch everything and anything Melissa Peterman. So I was just gonna
Oh,
like,
we were
keep the two of you guys in together.
we were next door neighbors in a hotel last summer and made friends. And I loved
Oh,
her because I would go to sing along Sound of Music at the Hollywood Bowl every single year when I lived in LA, and she's the host of the show. And
yeah.
she's so awesome. I just think she's amazing. She's so cool.
Yeah.
Am I still dying? Yep.
You're still
Well,
talking.
I think this is the best kind of a podcast. It's real.
Yes.
You know, this is the
We
stuff
like
people,
share the real life,
this is what
right?
the people want. They want to see the ride or die in the middle of a podcast.
Never give your handyman your garage code where apparently they just feel they show up whenever they want
That's a
to.
good,
Like
that's also good.
6:30
My
at night,
handyman left
dude.
my garage open after leaving, and I walked out there. There was literally a bear in my garage.
Oh, jeez. That's Connecticut.
Hello.
That is the most Connecticut thing ever. I know it is. It is.
Oh,
That's a
funny.
show right there. Yes.
There's
The handyman and the bear.
I know
The handyman and the bear. Can we
and-
have McGarry as that handyman? So you were on site for this. Did you go at the end of the second, or they filmed them both together?
No, I only went to the first week of the first one.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was really everything they did was mostly the bookstore. There was one morning on Las Ramblas, and that was pretty much it. And it was a when they're out there on the streets and there's people and tourists and stuff like that. I just try and stay out of trouble and out of everyone's way, and I just go and say this is fun. And then I didn't spend that much time on set because I pay my own way to go. My work has already been done, so it was really just I just wanted to go and have that and see everybody, and just it's fun it's fun to leave sort of the bubble that I'm in, my work bubble, and go see them actually make. I don't go all the time, but when it's somewhere I haven't been, or if it's people that I'm close friends, like some of the actors or producers I know really well, and it's just fun to go up there. And mostly it's Canada or but yeah, I like going.
Follow Up the Holly 3 was being filmed, and you had to be an extra, you had to live in Utah. And they're like, because we don't pay. I'm like, I will pay my own way there.
Right.
You don't even have to pay me to be there. I just want the experience.
It's fun. It's really fun once to be an extra. And then after that, you're like, this is not. My friends were in One Royal Holiday, and it was 100 degrees. It was summer here, and they were in their dark, their heavy coats and scarves and hats and dying. And I was, I felt terrible. Everybody was you could never tell when you see it, but like all the donut shop stuff, it was so hot that day, and I'm just like in my little shorts and t-shirt going like, sorry.
I think
try to get it in one take.
Yeah, I'm the behind the scene girl where I'm like, I just want to watch everything happen and how it all comes together. But
it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
So Minnesota, of course, used to have a lot of filming here, and especially with big projects like the Mighty Ducks, and I always miss the opportunity for those. Found out too late, but I was an extra in Sugar and Spice.
What's that? Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. That's so funny.
Catherine, that's perfect for you, girl. That's perfect.
That's you should put it on you should put it on the IMDb page. You need to put it on.
It was a high school football cheerleader and high school football star, James Marsden and Marley Shelton.
Oh my God!
And She got pregnant and they robbed a bank. That was the movie.
Yes.
Which scene were you in? The bank?
The football.
Oh, so
I wish we were in the football scene, and I want to say my knee made it because literally they filmed an ice cream scene that it was one the row below us and then us, and so close.
I would frame that though. Do you
Yes.
remember a movie? There was a movie in the 80s called The Principal. It was Jim Belushi, and they filmed it at my high school in Northern California. And we were so excited. And I was in the drama production class. The only day I ever cut class, literally my entire high school career, was the day that they signed everybody up to be in extras, in the featured extras in a scene where we would have been like in the movie, like fully in the movie. And me and my friend Randy cut class that one day and missed it. So everybody else, all of our friends are in that movie and we are not. Like we went the day that they were shooting like all the kids in the hallways, and I think maybe you could see my head, but like I missed my great chance at stardom. Now every so often it's on TV and I'll watch that scene and I'm like, there's Ed and there's Anna and there's so and so, and then I'm like, I would have been right there. It's just
that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I found my way to the industry just fine after that.
I think you're good.
You did.
So I'm not that upset about. I'm really not that upset about it, and I actually don't really want to be an extra in any of my movies because it's a long day. It's a long day. I did a bunch of voiceovers for Phil of the Future though.
Oh, Julie, I love that show. I
did too. I loved it.
That was one of my tops. I loved it. I still love it. It's
if you ever watch the one where the vice principal thinks that he's seen a UFO and he calls the UFO hotline.
Yes.
And Pam answers. I'm Pam. That's me. We constantly we literally talk about this still in my house because I would go, UFOs, this is Pam. How can I help you today? And that's my claim. That's my claim to fame. UFOs, this is Pam.
Oh, Julie, I'm gonna go back and watch that episode. That's so exciting.
All of a sudden there's going to be a spike in Phil of the Future views for one episode, and then I'll get like I'll get like $1. So yeah, go.
Hallmark stars, we knew them when, or what did they do before they came
down? This is Pam. I was so proud. I didn't get paid either. Probably should have asked for that, but oh well.
Yeah, we'll help get the most views for that episode, girl.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't even remember which one it was, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know the name. I'm 10 years older than Brennan, so I think I'm missing on that one. What was the concept of it?
Of which one? That episode?
No, just Phil of the Future.
Oh, family from the future ends up in modern day by accident.
Oh, okay.
To hide fix their spaceship to get back to their home town.
They're from 2121.
Yes, my favorite, best thing I ever wrote as a sitcom writer was this whole scene where it turned out that aluminum foil was as valuable as like a street drug in the future, and they couldn't believe that there's a whole roll of it, and it was totally a drug reference, and we totally got it in. The whole thing, like,
I remember
how much this uncut foil is worth. I cannot believe
that is.
That we stuck it in. Yeah.
Well, and it's so neat. This is a really quick Hallmark segue, but Ali Mashaka, she was in a Hallmark movie with Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she just, I mean, she's gorgeous. Like, did anybody age better than her? Oh my God. I just like unbelievable.
She's a twin, right? Is she the one who's a twin?
Sister, her AJ is her sister. But I don't think they're twins. Yeah. Okay. We'll see how my death is going. Nope.
You're still alive?
You're still breathing.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so back to Barcelona. Without
this is a real we really went far. We went to the future. Okay, go on.
I love it. You know what? That's we're all, like we said, we're all about the behind the scenes.
This is a scoop. I've literally never talked about this on any podcast or any panel ever. I've never talked about being Pam from the UFO. So
well, we're totally highlighting that one for you, Julie.
So yes, we appreciate it.
And I'm going to send Brennan on the job of finding the clip on YouTube. Fingers crossed.
Good luck.
I got it. I'm on it.
Without giving too much away, what are one or two tokens that you hope viewers embrace for themselves from Allie and Allison's characters, or the storyline in general?
For this one, we don't always get a chance to talk about female friendships. I mean, we do, but it's, you know, I really like the idea that we can make friends later in life or after we've been through some stuff. And for these two ladies to find each other, we're not assuming that they've never been in love and that they don't have other friends. Like these are people that have made and lost friends, and they've been in love and then had their hearts broken. Like these are two people who have experienced life already. So it's not like first I've never been in love or any of these things. These are just people who are like just trying to get through and figure out what they're meant to do in their lives. So I feel like it's not like if you don't do something by your age 40 that it's too late to do anything. I just think it's nice to see both of them sort of on the, I'm not going to say they're old. They're not old, but you know what I mean? Sort of they're not 30 and they've never been in love. That's not what the story is. This is just two women who find each other unexpectedly. You don't think that they're going to be able to be friends. They do become friends, and then that becomes the real romance in a way. And obviously there's romance. It's a Hallmark movie, but I feel like it's a friendship movie with a romance in it, for both of them actually.
Well, that actually speaks to me because I'll be 46 next month. And there's a few things that I keep saying that a lot of time for my age, it's all about your second love. And I'm like, where's my story of my first love?
There's a little bit of that because not because I think that you can be 40 something and have been in any kind of relationship, but you don't really, it's not the one, it's not
Right.
the love that you've always dreamed of until now. And I think, in a way, you'll see in the first movie, Allie's character kind of gave up on that idea, um, feeling like it was just sort of not going to happen and just sort of focusing on other stuff and realizing that it's just meant to happen in time and the way fate comes and brings all these things together. And of course, we happen to be filming when all that fate happens. That's the beauty. We like to cut to the chase, but I actually believe honestly that like I wouldn't have my entire career if fate hadn't given me a terrible day back at like 30 years ago, or I had two terrible things happen to me in one day. But that is the reason I ended up leaving San Diego and moving to Los Angeles. Like if those two things hadn't happened, I would have sort of been stuck there and stayed there. And I didn't, but I had nothing keeping me in San Diego 24 hours. Like I had a job and a long-term boyfriend, and then 24 hours later, I had neither. So I was just, so I'm a true believer in what I write about fate and timing and patience. And I have made some really wonderful friends later in life. I know a lot of women feel like you need to find that friend group and that's it. And then it's been nice to show that more mature women can find new friendships. I feel like if I want to make new friends now, I have to learn pickleball, which I'm not,
Oh,
it's
I have a
fine.
court across the street, so come on over.
I mean, I like it. I don't love it because I don't want to, I'm not going to insult pickleball, but I played other sports. So pickleball to me is like, I don't know. I just don't think it's as exciting as soccer or volleyball or anything else that I played. So I'm trying to learn to love it. I'm not that great at it, but it's definitely, I think I put pickleball on a script already, like everyone else. I think we all put pickleball on a script this year.
It is the hot thing still.
Yeah.
So, and
My
I
dad
honestly,
is
do you get it? I mean, I just don't, because isn't it exactly like tennis, except for it's
It's
smaller
ping pong,
courts?
tennis, badminton,
Oh,
and
okay.
like racquetball. I don't know. And
Mm,
I don't know. I enjoy it because it's fun socially, but just I've never played a sport where I look at the clock like, are we done? Is this over? Not because I'm tired, it's just kind of boring. I don't know.
yeah, fair.
my dad is always trying to get me to play with them. He always is saying, "We got to schedule pickleball. We got to play. We got to play." And I just keep
It's
putting it
fun.
off.
It's fun with friends. If it doesn't get, I just don't have it. I just don't want to do competitive pickleball.
Mm,
I don't want to care if I win or lose. Like that's just not what I'm going for. But some people are very serious about it. So I'm not
mm,
playing with those people, but I'm happy. I'll go and just play for fun. But there's some very serious people that play pickleball now.
mm. They need to bring Foursquare back and hopscotch.
Oh yeah, I was good at
I've got those
Mhm.
covered.
or tetherball.
Tether.
Please, yes.
Oh yeah,
Mhm,
tetherball.
I did get in trouble
mhm.
once for slamming it into someone's head and they fell. And they
Oh,
thought they said I did it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh,
It
that's
wasn't on
just the name
purpose.
of the game. Watch your head.
Yeah, I got in trouble.
that's so true.
I can like really remember that moment of being in my principal's office just crying because I've never been in trouble in my life.
Oh my goodness.
And now payback. See, it's all karma.
I'm curious of what the difference is because you're a screenwriter on some of the movies, and then it says writer or teleplay by. So I'm just curious what the
Oh,
differences are.
so it's okay. So if I'm with the script from the very beginning, it's going to be written by. If I've done the story and the teleplay, it's just this is all Writers Guild union, like
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That's written by. If it was based on pre-existing material, um,
Mm.
sometimes the story, the story credit can be shared. So then teleplay is just by itself the actual script, and then the story can be shared with other people. If I do a rewrite of a script, it just depends how much work I do, but it usually ends up going into people kind of look at it and decide how much credit you get on it. So sometimes I could share the story and the teleplay with somebody else. So then that would be why it's story by or teleplay by. So
Okay.
when it's just me, it says written by, and then when there's other entities involved, that's when it's and then with the holiday touchdown, it was very, very loosely based on that clip on that short that they made. So it was sort of I got television story by me and then teleplay, which is basically the same thing. It's just the rules that they have about these things. Very
Okay.
complicated business, but
So what is it generally then if you're adapting a novel into a
it would be based on the novel by,
based
but then I would, yeah, it would be based on the novel by, and then I think I don't know what that and then I guess teleplay. Yeah, it does ultimately. I don't really even look at that. It just to me it's just written by unless and if
on?
you're if you have two people and you're both sharing credit, then you share credit. It just is what it is.
Hmm.
So when you see uh an ampersand between two writers, that means that they're a writing team and that they wrote it together. Or is it the opposite? And then the word and is a separate entity. I might have gotten that backwards, which I can't believe. I can't remember, but there's a difference.
So, how do you balance writing within the Hallmark formula while still keeping stories fresh and original?
So I actually don't think the Hallmark formula is a thing anymore. I think it's
Mm,
it's it's a movie. A movie has to have certain things happen at certain times of the movie, but I don't think that Hallmark is necessarily. I know that there was always everyone talked about having a Hallmark formula where this has to happen at this moment and that has to happen at that moment and you can't kiss till the end or whatever. Those things are no longer, that's not even anything anyone tells us we have to do.
Mm.
We're pretty free to sort of have a good time and figure some stuff out within that within a structure of a movie, of any movie. Things that, there has to be an inciting incident. There has to be sort of a midpoint. There has to be the all is lost moment. Of course, that's not just a Hallmark formula, that's movies. And if those
Mhm.
if
mhm,
those things aren't in a movie, it's not going to work. Right. So
Yeah.
that's not, specific to Hallmark. That's everybody. Um, I was just telling somebody else, I wrote something in part two that I've never done before, and it's very, very rare, and it's in act one. So you'll try,
Mm.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. There's something in
Okay.
act one that's not usually in act one. So that's what I'm saying. So as long as we sort of telling a good story and we're seeing these people change and we're seeing how they change each other, we're seeing how this friendship between Allie and Ashley's characters change each other's lives for the better. And as long as those things are there, then we get to have a little bit more leeway with how we tell the story, because that's the challenge is you all know how it's going to end.
Mhm.
It's just a question of, can you guess how it's going to end, or how are you going to enjoy that journey, or are you just going to be like, let's get to it. Come on, come on,
Right.
come on, come on, let's go. So
mm,
what I hope that I do is at least make it a fun ride, even though you know what's going to happen. So,
mm.
So you've spoken at so many panels, and then you got to do the Hallmark Christmas cruise.
Yes.
And were you at the Hallmark Christmas? You were at the
I
Hallmark
was,
Christmas
yeah, the first
experience.
week because we did the premiere for the holidays
Yeah.
at that
Did
same
you
thing.
do a panel?
Not that weekend because it was so busy with the premiere. So I didn't do a panel at the hall in Kansas City, but I did on the cruise. And then I've done Christmas Con a couple times and um just all the kind of the press events. I love a panel. I do. I don't know why. I just enjoy it. I like I love a Q&A. I would talk to people all day long. So hopefully I can get back on the next cruise and, and do that.
So do you get a lot of fans that pitch ideas to you, or has any of those taken
Yeah, but I have to kind of shut it down fast because, and it's just a legal thing because
that makes sense.
I'm developing a lot of different things at the same time. And, there's only so many different stories that can be told. I mean, there are many, many stories, but I can sometimes think I came up with the most original story ever and I can pitch it to Hallmark and they can say, oh yeah, we already have that going. So I was advised years and years ago before Hallmark, before anything, is that unless I'm a producer and I'm actually like developing something with somebody, which I'm not, it's just safer to not hear the pitch because I don't want to, because I actually, people are pretty litigious and I wouldn't want it to be, wait a minute, I told Julie on the cruise that my aunt, made this really wonderful maple candy and now she did a movie with maple candy in it. So I'm going to sue. And, I, I don't, I can't, so that's pretty much what it is. Like, I feel bad, but, I'm just sort of saving myself, I guess, from the potential of a problem because it definitely happens. So,
I'm sure.
But I give people advice on sort of like without reading the scripts. I mean, because there's plenty of writing programs that you can go to and, someone will give you notes and all that stuff. So that's a separate thing. But, I'll give advice on starting a career or how to, kind of like career longevity or, what to, although admittedly, it's a completely different world from when I started of how to get a job in Hollywood. Like there's nothing about how I got my first job is relevant. It involved fax machines and pagers and looking up producers' phone addresses in an actual book that they used to print out. But I always give advice about, once you get hired, if you're getting hired to write something, and you get notes on it, remember they are paying you, you do the notes because that's what we do. We just, you have to remember we're like, I don't think I'm William Shakespeare or Dorothy Parker. Like, you're always going to get notes and it's always going to be criticism. So that's the hard part. And a lot of people don't like to be criticized. And a lot of new writers really don't like to be criticized. So that's also hard, nobody likes to be told that their script isn't ready or anything like that. So
yeah, no, you're right. Then better just to be like, well, that's great. Good luck to you.
Right, but I don't want to do that either because I don't want it to be, false. I don't want it to be like, this is amazing. You should drop everything in Los Angeles,
right.
Like
fly on out and stand outside the door and see what happens with that pitch.
I'm not even sure you need to do if you're not. I don't even know if people still need to even move to LA anymore. It helps, definitely helps, but everything is like this. It's all. I mean, the reason I can move to Connecticut was because most of my meetings were all Zoom anyway.
Oh.
And it's nice that I go back to LA like I just did last week and I see everybody and I say hi and we have meetings and lunches and dinners and it's great. It's good for them to see me in real life. But generally I don't really need to be there.
Well, speaking a little more about writing, Julie, what is your favorite rom-com trope to write? Or what is one you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
This is hard. Like for me, I just end up thinking of who these people are and who the characters are, and then the meet. Like I love a good meet cute. Who doesn't, right? But I'll tell you the one that I try to avoid. How about that? Is anybody falling and being caught?
That's my life.
That's so funny, Julie. I so love that you said that because that's probably my favorite.
I just can't. No, I've never been caught by anybody in my entire life. in
It's
any
true.
situation. And especially why I've done a couple of things that had ice skating, and I always try and turn that on its head where it's like the girl's a really good skater or something. I just can't have it be that the guy, she's tripping and falling and he catches her. And yeah, I don't. And then also my other thing that drives me crazy, and it has nothing to do with writing, is the empty coffee cups. But I've told every director, please,
Yeah.
please, please put something in the cups. And
Sometimes it's obvious when they're going like this.
I'll tell you what, I found out why, and now I can't be as angry about it because I found out why they do it. And so now I can't be as self-righteous about the empty coffee cups, which I have, because usually when I watch the show, I'm screaming at the screen, right? But
You're not the only one.
it's
No.
but what I was told is because there's only so much for wardrobe, okay? And if anything spills on that piece of wardrobe, that derails production until they can clean it, dry it, replace it. So even if it's water, it can still screw up the wardrobe, and that is why. So now it makes sense, and now I can't complain. But I think, okay, here's my new business idea. It's very niche, and no one's gonna buy this. Is weighted bottom coffee cups for production. Oh, this is remember this moment. So when I keel over, my son can do it. Yeah, that's my new invention. I'm gonna sell. I'll probably sell dozens of them.
I actually was thinking about that right even before you said it with like what could you magnetize so that it had the illusion of being heavier when you at least pretended to drink.
You could just put like anything, like just a weight of any kind. It can be on the
Well, that's
bottom.
true, but then I thought if it was something that was small and actually like fell back or fell down the cup, then that was a safety thing. So I was thinking of like what would be something that could be the whole width of the cup and magnetize it down, and then it you still have the
but then if the lid falls off and it smashes them in the face and breaks their teeth, we've got an even bigger problem than we had before. Because it has
Oh, that's true. All right, well let's think on
workshop
that.
it. Let's workshop it.
Because you are, I mean, it is definitely one that you're like, okay, out of all the things that you're acting, can we at least act like there's something in there?
I know, but I think now that I understand it, I can't
But
fault them.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So there you go.
You
The
got
more you know.
Well, the more you know. That's how I was with editing. Because like I'll be honest, and it really came down to Lifetime movies for me, where some of them I was be like, did somebody not pay attention to the fact that that arm was just down and now it's up? And
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to do that. It's continuity is tough.
And then now from learning all of this from behind the scenes and then really asking questions and talking to editors and directors as like to me it's mind-boggling for a director who's like, I don't know what my movie's going to look like by the time it actually airs. And I was like, I don't think I could ever give away a baby like that.
No.
So I'm saying with you, I have that grace now that I wouldn't have ever had beforehand.
I mean, that's the thing. So sometimes you get there'll be people reviewing movies on podcasts and all that, and they'll come up with a plot hole and like that they'll say like, this is ridiculous. Why? And I'm like, well, and I always want to say, well, it was in the script, and we were 13 minutes long, and something had to get cut, and so like it's usually something that's like only eagle-eyed super fans might catch, but then it doesn't ruin the telling of the story, so we would get cut. And I like it when I don't realize something's been cut and then someone reminds me of a scene and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I didn't miss it. But sometimes every so often I'm like, people find these plot holes or they're right about stuff, and I always wish I could just say, well, it was there, but we needed to, if we had 20 more minutes, all of your questions would have been answered. But it doesn't work that way.
So that's really what we write at Dawn for, is the 2.5-hour movie total with your commercials, because then you're going to get that whole story that we get shipped by this 82 generally?
Yeah, but you got it you did get that for Holiday Touchdown and the Rockettes movie, and
because they add
Spectacular. They did the extended version on both of them.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So we always have something fun that we're going to write at Dawn for. So we'll write at Dawn for that, because that will solve that problem.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll wrap up with these ones of do you write your movies with actors in mind when you're doing them?
Not unless we pitched it with the actors at the beginning.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's no point because you just don't know who you're going to get. But it was fun to write with Allie and Ashley in mind this time.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Really good,
yeah.
really fun. And then
For sure.
I knew Tyler was going to be in the Holiday Touchdown movie, so I got to write for him in mind too. So
Okay.
Hunter was amazing, and she just did everything perfectly, and I love her. We're gonna try and do something at some point.
So you knew that. So you knew he was going to be cast. Did you know that she was going to be cast?
No, I didn't. Not
Okay.
until, I mean, at a certain point during the process, yes, and I could tweak stuff, but from the
Yeah,
from the
okay.
very beginning, Tyler was definitely going to be that guy. So
Do you have some dream projects that you still love to see come to life?
I do. One of them, yeah, I have a couple things, but like when I say it's a dream project, like I can't even talk about them because okay, bookmark this conversation, and
Okay.
then in about a year, I'm hoping that one of them is going to happen.
Okay.
And we can totally talk about it, and I'll tell you, I really I can't talk about it because it could ruin it.
Gotcha. It
But I
is a
definitely
date.
do. And then I always want to do more kind of musicals and stuff like that. But I'm not their go-to person for that. So someone will do it. But I would love to do a fully sung through Hallmark musical. But that's just like that is not in the stars right now. But I would love
We'd support that.
It's not in the stars, I'm sure, but it is just mind-boggling how much talent there is in that department.
Yeah,
And
they have so
Yeah.
many, Broadway, non-Broadway, but everyone can people are amazing. The voices, and I've been very lucky to have some really amazing singers, but then all the movies that they are in of mine are not singing movies. So
oh,
someday.
yeah, someday. Okay, well, we'll finish with a few trivia questions from your movies. I don't think you'll need them, but we do have options for you.
I do have once I finish a movie, it disappears from my brain almost. So maybe it'll be challenging. We'll see. Okay.
Oh, well, what was your first Hallmark movie?
That was Hello, It's Me.
And I had just your other choices were The Birthday Wish and Summer in the Vineyard. And I will say, The Birthday Wish, I think, was actually one of my first Hallmark movies that I remember watching.
That's one of my top favorite things I've ever written was that movie. And
oh, really?
Everything I loved it. Yeah, and the directing and everything was amazing. I love that movie. That's actually aired more than any other movie I've written for Hallmark.
That's so good.
And I want to say, was it like 2016?
Something like that, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So it's had a lot of time to do there. Though I will say Holiday Touchdown is probably going to catch up really quickly.
Maybe, yeah. My husband's favorite is actually Birthday Wish.
Oh,
I like to write movies where the husbands and the guys can, enjoy watching and not feel like that's always the biggest compliment was, oh, my husband sat down, was there, and he actually was like started really watching it and was interested in the story and what was going to happen, so I like that.
Well, my boyfriend and he also loves Hallmark and watches all the movies with me, and he loves Birthday Wish. He got me the DVD one year for my birthday.
Oh, no kidding, really?
So Kimberly Sustad and Paul Campbell starred in which of your movies?
Wedding Every Weekend. Or were you giving me choices? Best kiss at the end of a movie ever. That movie.
Truly.
It's been a while since I've seen that one. I'll have to rewatch.
Yeah, that's the best kiss in pretty much any of them, I think.
It's good.
Yeah. Maybe One Royal Holiday. And maybe Holiday Touchdown, but like definitely Wedding Every Weekend is number one.
It's a good one.
And then so Tyler Hines starred in The Chiefs Love Story in which other one of your movies?
Do you know what's funny is that literally today I was on the phone with somebody and I could not remember the name of this movie to save my life.
Oh man, I almost got it.
I did not name it Always Amore, but it was called Rising Star for the longest time, and so I literally could not remember it. I had to go on IMDb and look it up.
We were there. We just had Jax Collier on last week, and I broke the news to her that her newest movie was on IMDb. Oh, and then she goes, "Oh, is it this?" And I said, "No, it's this, and it's already something new." And so I'm like, "Let's see how many more names it has before it actually airs."
Yeah, I mean, like Barcelona was called Barcelona Mi Amor part one and part two. And then I saw the ads where it said To Barcelona with Love and To Barcelona Forever. I'm like, those are good, but I didn't do it. But like they're good. They did. Whoever did it did a great job thinking of titles, because I half the time they change. Yeah. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, thank you, Julie, so much for joining us. This was a blast.
Thank you for having me, and I'm alive. Look, and it's I'm
yes, we
still
made
alive.
it.
My
You're
rash is
still
gone.
breathing.
It's a what a night.
We have our passports ready, and we look forward to our follow-up in a year to see if that dream project.
Oh yeah, yep. I will yes, I will write this down, that you guys, I'll tell you if it happens. I would be very happy. Yeah, I wish I could even hint, but I can't. So there you go.
Oh no, totally understand.
Something to look forward to.
Well, thank you so much for
Check
having
on
me.
that, girl.
I appreciate it. My friend was dating a celebrity once, and we went to dinner, and I ended up in the Enquirer, but it was just my elbow. My elbow was in the National Enquirer.